104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. Our man in Buffalo, Mike Rodak, covers the Bills for the Mothership and ESPN.com. Mike, was the Tyrod Taylor move the right move?
I think it was the right move. The timing is what sort of surprised me with this one. I think everybody who watched his team the past 3 years, the past 38 starts for Tyrod Taylor, could tell that he was not going to be the long-term solution. And at that point, obviously, it makes more sense to try to find the next guy. And I think they're taking a swing at Nathan Peterman as potentially being that next guy. I don't know if we'll find that out in 7 games, but we'll at least get an idea. And it'll give Peterman some time to develop as well. But the timing is strange because you're looking at a 5-4 team. They're very much in the playoff hunt. Right now, they'll make the playoffs if the season ended today. And they're going on a 2-game road swing, including a very tough game at Kansas City, and then coming back to play the Patriots. So I don't know if this was the right game to make this switch. Obviously, they're coming off a 2-game losing streak, and I'm sure there was a desire to switch things up and to make changes. But I think the steady, or at least steadier hand of Tyrod Taylor would have been the better way to go the next couple games and kind of see where you are after that. If you're able to win a couple games, maybe you keep him as a starter. If you're 5-7 coming up to that Colts game the second week of December, then maybe you switch it over to Peterman. But to make this switch right now is definitely a gamble on Sean McDermott's part because it could totally backfire. Peterman could be a disaster as a rookie quarterback, as some of them sometimes are, and then you're looking at a team that maybe wasted a chance to be in the playoffs this season.
Mike, what caught me off guard is that the Bills' defense has been giving up a ton of points the past 3 weeks. I don't even know if I can point to Tyrod and say he was the biggest issue. Was that what the staff believed, is that Tyrod was really hurting the chances of winning these football games? There's
definitely, some level of belief that the offense was holding back the defense or at least making it tougher on the defense. In terms of time of possession, the Bills ranked 3rd to last this season in that category. Their time of possession against the Saints was their lowest in 12 years. So their belief is that the offense wasn't on the field enough and was putting more stress on the defense, especially in the running game. But I think it's a little bit unfair to pin it totally on him when you're giving it 492 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns. Obviously, it's more than just a time of possession issue as far as the defense is concerned. I mean, when the opposing offense was on the field and the Saints, they were just running right down the field. I'm not sure it was a matter of the Bills being tired. I think they weren't getting things done. And it's harder, I think, to make a switch on defense in that case, at least a drastic switch. I mean, you can't fire Leslie Frazier, and ultimately it's up to Sean McDermott. He's a defensive mind. So I think the switch had to come on the other side of the ball, and that's obviously where they looked.
ESPN.com's Mike Rodak joins us here on Levack and Goz, 104.5 The Team. So let's get into Nathan Peterman. Is he ready to go? Has he had enough reps with this first team that we see him on Sunday being an effective quarterback?
We'll have to see. I don't know if there's an answer to that right now. I don't think he has really received enough reps. I mean, it's just this week in which he has been practicing with the first team. So it's a matter of how quickly can he adapt. Obviously, there's some level of scaling back the playbook that needs to happen when you have a rookie quarterback playing on the road. So we'll have to see how he responds. I mean, that's the biggest mystery right now. I think the ideal scenario for the Bills is just to get into a better rhythm on offense where they're hitting some short passes, they're moving the chains, they're keeping the ball. But part of that's also the running game. I mean, this is not just on Nathan Peterman. The offensive line has to play better. LaShawn McCoy has to play better, and it's not totally his fault this season that he has his career low rushing average. But it's more than just a quarterback, and the entire offense needs to get better.
How have his teammates responded to the move of Tyrod going to the bench and Peterman now being the starter?
I think it's similar to the Sammy Watkins trade, where I think there was a shock factor at the very beginning. And you have a guy like LaShawn McCoy who's 30 years old or approaching 30 years old and wants to win a Super Bowl. And I think he was very supportive of Tyrod Taylor, even through some of his struggles, and he liked Tyrod Taylor. So you kind of get the sense yesterday that, Shady was a little bit down. But just like the Watkins trade, I think players learned pretty quickly that they needed to get over it because there's still football to be played. And obviously this regime has not shied away from making big moves. And I think players realize as, each successive move comes that they could be next and they could be the next guy to go. So I think there's also a, motivational factor behind some of this where players might have to ramp up their own games.
He covers the Buffalo Bills for ESPN.com. Mike Rodak Jones is here on the phone lines on 104.5 The Team. And earlier in the interview, you said you didn't feel like it was the right week for Nathan Peterman to take over. Is that because of the matchup with the Chargers and Anthony Lynn being familiar with this overall organization?
Not exactly that. More just the fact that you're going on the road. You're making a West Coast trip, which are pretty difficult to begin with. The Bills have only won one of their past 8 trips to the Pacific time zone, and that was the Rams game last year. So it's a tough situation just because of that. And I think you look at the 2 games after that as well, with the Chiefs and the Patriots being potentially the 2 best teams in the conference. I think you had a more favorable situation for Peterman if you come back for that Colts game the second week of December back here at home, where we all know the Colts are a disaster this year, and you're giving your rookie quarterback a better chance in front of a home crowd.
Now the big question is this. Going forward, is Sean McDermott done? Is this the last big change we see for the 2017 Buffalo Bills?
As far as this season is concerned, yes. I mean, I can't imagine what else would go down. I mean, I think if there was going to be a change at offensive coordinator, I think that would come after the season. I don't think making a change at quarterback and coordinator would make sense, in December. So we'll see how that goes. But as far as the regular season is concerned, I wouldn't imagine any big changes coming. But look, it's going to be an off season where I think I tweeted about this the other day. There's maybe 11 or 12 players you could look at this roster and say for sure that they'll be back next season because of contract situations or age or salary cap situations. It's just there's going to be a lot of turnover, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was more trades and surprise cuts and different moves that happen next offseason as they try to continue to shape this roster.
He covers the Buffalo Bills for ESPN.com. Mike Rodak. Mike, we appreciate your time, man. We know you're super busy with all this stuff going on. We'll talk again in the near future.
You got it, guys. Thanks.